Hey y'all, today we are making homemade cereal. Okay, so first up, we are making Cookie Crisp. So you're going to need a little bowl. We're going to mix up our dry ingredients first. I am adding to my bowl 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Then I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of baking soda and a half a teaspoon of salt. My baking soda I am putting through my tiny little strainer because this has got to be the lumpiest box of baking soda I have ever bought. So I don't want those lumps in my flour, so I am going to just kind of push them through that little strainer to make sure all the lumps are gone. Then you're just going to mix this up and sit it over to the side until we're ready for it, okay? So these recipes I thought were super cute. If you've got a kid that loves cereal, maybe they can't have certain things, if they're gluten-free or if whatever, you can adjust these recipes because you're making the recipe yourself at home. So you can adjust the ingredients that go into these. I'm giving y'all a super easy chocolate chip cookie recipe if you don't have one, but you can use whatever chocolate chip cookie recipe that you like. My favorite chocolate chip cookies are my sourdough discard chocolate chip cookies. I've made those on the channel before, but I know not everybody does sourdough, so you wouldn't have discard to make the cookies with. So I'm giving you an easy recipe that everybody can use. So I'm showing you the side of my butter because someone asked me on a previous video how much, like the measurements of what was in one stick of butter for me. So my butter that I use all the time is a half a cup or 8 tablespoons of butter. That's what's in one stick of the butter I use. This recipe calls for 2 sticks of butter, so that is 1 cup of butter. It needs to be room temperature. It needs to be soft, okay? So the next thing we're going to add is a half a cup of white sugar. And then we're going to add in 3/4 cup of brown sugar. And y'all know I'm using the brown sugar that I make at home. It is very easy. I do have a video on that. If you have not seen that, if you want to try to make your own brown sugar, it's very, very simple. And it tastes so much better. I haven't bought store-bought brown sugar in forever. So anyway, we're adding 3/4 cup of that. And then we're going to cream our butter and sugars together in our mixer. Now, if you don't have a stand mixer, you can do a hand mixer, absolutely. However, whatever equipment you have will work just fine. Now, the recipes, the measurements, how long they last, all the things are going to be down in the description box for y'all as usual. So you'll have everything that you need, because I have been known to misspeak something in a video. You know, I'm human. Sometimes I mess up when I say stuff, but the printable recipes are always in the description box for y'all. And if it's an older video, then the recipe is just written out in the description box. Eventually I'll get to going back and fixing all those, but when I get some time, y'all. So what I added just then was about 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I don't measure vanilla, y'all know, but about 2 teaspoons is what I added. And then we're adding in 2 room temperature eggs, okay? We're just gonna let that mix until all of our wet ingredients are good and combined, okay? So, like I said, these recipes are super simple to make. They're super simple to put together because you really can use any cookie recipe for this. And the next recipe we have literally has like 2 ingredients. But for these, any chocolate chip cookie recipe that you have will work just fine. And even if you didn't want to do chocolate chip cookies, you could do like peanut butter cookies and make tiny little peanut butter cookies for peanut butter cereal, or whatever flavor cookie you like. It will work for this, okay? So I'm adding in little by little my dry ingredients. And the reason I'm adding them little by little is because if you don't, you'll end up with a flour shower in your kitchen. And nobody wants to clean all that up because ask me how I know. Anyway, so just add that in and we're going to let that mix just until everything is combined, okay? So now we're going to add the chocolate chips. Now, my personal preference is milk chocolate chips. If you do dark chocolate, you can do dark chocolate. If you do semi-sweet chocolate chips, you can do those. Whatever kind of chocolate chips you want to use will work just fine in here. I am going to pour these in a measuring cup only to show you how much I end up using because that's what was left in my bag. Now, you can use less, you can use more. They're your cookies. Do them how you want to. I ended up using about 3/4 of a cup of these chocolate chips, and these are regular size chocolate chips. I'm going to chop these up pretty small because our cookies are going to be very tiny, and I don't want my cookie to be overpowered by the chocolate chip. Does that make sense? I want it to taste like a cookie, not just chocolate. But if you like more chocolate, then leave your pieces bigger or do it however you want to do it. I'm just showing you how I do mine. Now, some people do just use mini chocolate chips for these, but in my opinion, mini chocolate chips are still too big. So even if it was mini chocolate chips, I would still chop those up, at least cut them in half. So what you're seeing me do now is when I did that, because I chopped so much, if you see right on top of my chocolate chips, I had a layer of like chocolate dust, which is not a bad thing, but I didn't want that in my cookie dough. So I'm just kind of straining that out of, or sifting it out of my little chocolate chip pieces. And then you can use that chocolate chip dust. You can just add that to a cup of hot cocoa just to make it extra chocolatey. It'll be delicious. So there's my little chips. You see the size of those. And I'm just gonna, look, there's my little dust. So you're just gonna add your chocolate chips now into your, what is that, cookie dough? And then you're gonna mix it up just until all your little chocolate chips are good and like distributed out throughout your dough. Because like I said, these are gonna be super tiny, but we wanna make sure that we have chocolate in each little bite. But you can see, because I did them so small, they're really getting good and distributed throughout my dough. And you can go ahead if you want. My oven takes forever to preheat. So usually at this stage, I go ahead and preheat my oven. For this recipe, it's going to be 350 degrees Fahrenheit. But if your oven preheats quick, you can wait until you actually start making the cookies and then preheat it, just however long your oven needs. But it will need to be at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, okay? So, like I said, the recipes and everything are going to be down below. Now, these two recipes, you put them in an airtight container once they're cooled down, and then they're only going to be good for about a week. And the reason that is you think about if you make a chocolate chip cookie, you don't keep them for 4 weeks, right? So these will be good for about as long as you normally keep these cookies, if that makes sense. So I put that dough in the refrigerator and let it sit for about 30 minutes just to make it easier to work with and not so sticky for me to roll, because if you try to roll this right after you mix it up, the dough is kind of warm and so it's super sticky and you end up making such a mess. These little balls, just for size reference, these are about the size of a peanut M&M. Okay, that's about what size I'm rolling these. Now, what I did, because I didn't need 4 billion of these, y'all know it's just, like me and my son, and I don't have little kids that eat a lot of cereal. But if you do, you can definitely make more. But all I made was enough to fit on this one cookie sheet. And then the rest of the dough that I had left over, I scooped into regular size cookie balls, froze those on a cookie sheet in the freezer. And once they were frozen, I threw them in a Ziploc bag. And then you can just make cookies anytime you want to. But I just did 1 pan of these, for the video, so I could show y'all how to do it. So once you get your cookies all rolled out, because my hands have warmed them up, I'm going to pop them back in the refrigerator for about another 15 minutes. Then you're going to bake them 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 6 to 7 minutes. That's what they should look like when they come out. Now, keep in mind, you don't want these to be soft. You want these to be small and a little bit cooked more than you normally would, so they'll be crunchy in your milk, okay? Next up, we are doing cinnamon sugar mini croissants. This recipe is so easy. Get your oven preheating to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. I am using puff pastry, as you saw. I'm going to use 1 sheet of puff pastry, and I don't think I used quite the whole sheet, actually. And then but you can also use like just crescent dough. You can use that if you want to. You just need to make sure that it's really cold, because it's going to be the warmer that it is, the harder it's going to be to do what you need to do. It's not going to be as easy to work with. That's what I'm trying to say. So yes, I am again cutting on my silicone mat. These are my new knives. They are extremely sharp, so I am being very, very careful. But I will say again, I do not recommend that you cut on your silicone mat because you definitely can mess it up, okay? But I'm trying to be very careful, and I'm not really dragging. I'm kind of pressing most of the time when I'm doing this. Otherwise, I'm just being super careful. So I cut my, well, you see the puff pastry is kind of in thirds anyway, so you cut a third of it off, then cut that in half long ways. Y'all saw what I did. And then you're just going to take this and you're going to cut this into triangles, okay? And the puff pastry especially is thick. Puff pastry is just thick if you don't roll it out. So what I did, but I didn't want to roll it out because I didn't want it to be so thin I couldn't work with it. You know, it wouldn't be so easy to cut and stuff. And so I'm cutting it into the triangles. And then once I get it into triangles, I'm going to actually stretch the dough a little bit. You're going to see me do it to where we get the triangles a little bit thinner and bigger so that they're easier for us to roll, because these are super, super tiny. So we have to be able to work with them. And right now they're so thick and small, they're not going to roll very well. So hopefully y'all see what I mean. So I'm just going to press these out between my fingers. You see how I'm getting it like a longer triangle? So then you're going to lay it down, and if you can get it off your finger, and then just gently roll from the biggest part of your triangle all the way down to the little point at the top of your triangle. And that is your tiny little crescent roll. Look how cute that is. Now, I will tell y'all, this cereal is not an overly sweet cereal. The way that I make it. If you want it sweeter, you could definitely sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon sugar on the inside of these before you roll them, and that will give it some extra sweetness if you want to do that. But I didn't do that, but you absolutely can if you want them sweeter. I'm just letting you know that the way that I'm making them, don't expect that these are going to be super, super sweet like store-bought cereal. You'll have to add a little more sugar than what I'm adding. And I know somebody is thinking, what a headache. Like, this takes forever. Why would you even do this? Like, what kind of sense does this make? Well, for one thing, I like trying new things. And, you know, I have been enjoying, and y'all have too, you know, all the homemade things. We get things that don't have all the preservatives in it. So this is just a fun way to get cereal without all that extra junk. So once I rolled those out, I put them in the fridge for about 15 minutes just to cool them back down again. And then I'm going to do an egg wash, and then I'm going to add cinnamon and sugar to the top. So like I was saying, this is not, you know, if you're wanting to eat this like every single day of your life, then maybe this isn't something you want to do, because that is going to take a lot of work to get that much cereal, you know. But, you know, for a once in a while treat, I mean, even the kids could help you do this. Like, it's so easy. And for me personally, I mean, I know I do have a cooking channel, so I do cook a lot of different things. But even before I had my cooking channel, like, I like to try different things, even if it's just to say that I did it, you know, that I can do it or whatever. And it's not like it's not edible. You definitely can eat this. My son tried out both of these cereals in milk, let them sit in milk and stuff, and they hold up. You know, if you got to cook them long enough, but if you do and they're nice and crispy, they hold up very well in milk. They don't get like super mushy or anything like that. But yeah, they're really good, y'all. They're really good. And did I say this already? I know I was thinking it. Maybe I said it, maybe I didn't. I did see some people that would, before they rolled their little croissants up, their little crescent rolls, they put a tiny little mini chocolate chip in it. And so their cereal was like the little chocolate-filled croissant. So you could definitely do that too as an option. But like I said, these are just super simple recipes. If y'all enjoy this though, and you want to see more, I do have in the works several other flavors of cereal, some popular cereals. If y'all want to see those, I can definitely put that together for y'all coming up in the new year. Just let me know down in the comments if y'all want to see more like this, because I'm not sure if this is the homemade that everybody likes, but if y'all do like it, let me know and I can do more. So now those are going in the oven 375 degrees Fahrenheit for about 15 to 20 minutes. And this is what they look like when they come out. You want them to be nice and brown, and you want them to be crispy, because again, we have to this, if it's cereal, it needs to be able to hold up in milk. In my opinion, if it doesn't hold up in your milk, then it's not cereal. We don't want mush in a bowl, right? But look how cute that is, y'all. These are super simple recipes. This one is a little time consuming. Oh, I dropped it. Only because you have to roll so many of them, but it is so worth it in my opinion, because they're so good and they're so dang cute. They're so cute. Nobody believes when I've told them, look, I made my own cereal. I rolled all these by myself. They're like, no, you didn't. I'm like, yeah, I really did do this. And it's just, I don't know, just you feel like you've accomplished something, I guess. But anyway, y'all try at least one of these cereals out and let me know how you like them. All right, that's all I've got for y'all today, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Bye, y'all.